Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 1313 podcast, the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jackson.
And I'm Tommy.
Welcome back, all you Regs, and to all you Shinies, welcome to the podcast. This is the podcast. Before we get started, please make sure that you hit all the links in the description below to follow us on all of our social medias, being Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Join the Discord. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the podcast, make sure you follow us on Patreon. And if you're in our Gungan Boss tier on Patreon, that is the $13.13 a month tier. You're going to be entered into our Jon Favreau Black Series giveaway at December 1st. Whoa. So join us on December 1st for that stream to see who's going to win that figure via a Wheel of Death.
Dun, dun, dun.
Done.
But with that, how's everybody's day, week, month going?
It's going good, but
It's
I have an
Thanksgiving
important topic
Eve.
of conversation to bring up that I kind of realized today. I had an epiphany. And Jacob has, I don't know how to describe it, so maybe you guys can come up with a better term. But I was just going to say, this man chooses to be stoic in everything he does. He's almost like an action figure. So here's an example. So we're standing around today, and when we were finished hunting, talking to our buddy, and he's standing there like he better conquer the world, kind of like, you know what I mean? Stoic. This fella just does everything and just stands there like he is the main character of every series that he's in.
That's crazy because I just said to my dad this morning that Jacob has main character syndrome.
I can't help it. It's all about me. This is the universe, and this is me. It goes.
I don't know. I think like I see Jacob in conversation more of like not an NPC, but like he like
I'm the writer.
When he's not talking, the screen is not on him, so he just is in A pose mode. And then when the screen pans back to Jacob, then he becomes animated. Like if you ever watched like when Jacob's not talking on the podcast, how blank his expression is, the second you can see a thought pop up in his mind, it just like he just animates. This shit is insane.
It's because I sit here and I'm listening to what you guys say and I'm comprehending it and I'm thinking about what I'm gonna eat for lunch tomorrow at the same time, and then like something like somewhat either not funny at all, but I think it's hilarious, or just some random ass thought will come to my mind. I'm like, it's time to speak.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
I apologize to everybody. I'm the writer, actually. I'm the writer.
So
Okay.
yeah, I know you guys are too, but I'm really tired today, and I only had 1 cup of coffee this morning, so I have a caffeine withdrawal headache right now behind my eyeballs.
I'm running on no coffee, and we got up at like what, 5 or 4? 4 this morning to go
For hunting.
for duck hunting. And for those of you that care, we shot 7 ducks.
Dude, and it was such a fun day. Like I saw Jackson sent me a Snapchat, and the one duck was sleeping.
Dude,
in
yeah,
the
it was
duck
just
house.
taking a
like,
nice
that was
rest.
awesome. Like that was just so adorable.
It's nice to be in nature, you know. And
he did have a
watch
giant
that.
hole in his head, but like,
It
he was
just
sleeping.
he's sleeping out the headache. He's sleeping out the headache.
Yeah.
Tuck my baby in. In the duck blind like that.
I had to do an atrocity, and feel free to cut this from the podcast if it's too much.
What?
But
It's not getting cut.
one of the ducks that we cap sometimes, because you can't shoot lead anymore. You can't shoot lead shot because it poisons the water.
Yes.
Because lead is poisonous.
And we know what happens to the frogs when the water gets poisoned.
Yep. But so we use steel shot. Steel is not as heavy, and it doesn't do as good as a job at killing as lead does. So like half the time you shoot something and you go pick it up and it's just not dead. And it's like, it's literally the worst. It like makes me so upset every time because I'm the one that kayaks out there to pick them up, and then I pick them up and I throw them in the boat, and they just look at me. And they just the entire time. I'm like, hey, bro. I'm like, bro,
Are you serious right now, bro?
I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry as I'm paddling
So
back.
you capping.
So one of the ducks was like straight up gone. And it's on my side of the blind, and it's just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, it just resurrects. It starts breathing again, and it's like breathing really heavy. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
My
I feel
man
so
won
bad.
the gulag.
He clutched.
So, but its wings broken. It's like this. So I'm like, I feel awful. And I'm just watching this dude. I'm like, bro, he's in agony. He's in pain. I don't know what to do. My dad's not paying attention. I go, I gotta snuff it out. I gotta put him out of his misery. So I set him on the ground, and I put my boot on him, and I throw my weight on it. And I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, bro, this is the absolute worst. I feel so bad. And I snuffed its life away. And then
I've done that before.
And then about 15 minutes into me doing this, I'm looking down at the ground, And Jackson is like watching his girlfriend's military graduation on his phone. He just goes, oh! And I look up and there's 6 birds just going straight into her.
I was in the middle.
Because he just couldn't get a word out. He just, oh! And we all go, da, da, da.
Yeah, her graduation was literally just finishing up and they were doing like the Soldier's Creed. So I was like partially like reciting that. And then like I looked up like this and I see the 6 are like cupping and like this like right in the spread. And I was like so excited because when ducks cup in, it's really beautiful because nature is awesome. And I was like, oh, I didn't know what to say, but like I threw my phone and I grabbed my gun to them ducks.
And then we dropped half of them.
We did drop half.
But and then I immediately forgot about the life I snuffed away. And then I also
And then you snuffed away more.
Mm-hmm. And then on the beach it was covered in snow. And I decided while we were taking our mid-piss break, I started making a snowball and I tried to roll it across the entire
I thought that was
beach.
a boulder.
No, it's snow and sand.
Snow
dude.
boulder, bro.
He made that.
I rolled
it came
that
from this to this.
It was started on a picnic table. I just kind of rolled all the stuff that was on top and I just kept pushing it all the way
Okay,
back to
because
the
I
blind.
saw that on Jackson's Snapchat story and I was like, why is I said it was literally just I thought it was just a video of you rolling a rock. I was like, that is not funny. And then like now that I know it's a snowball, I was like,
for context, when I was done with it, the thing was about like 3 or 4 feet tall. It was huge, and I was like, I had literally because I was wearing a hoodie, I was wearing a vest, and I was wearing 2 coats. Both coats came off. I was so hot after it, and I was just miserable. I was sweating so much. I was like, I want to go now. I want to go. I'm uncomfortable. So, disclaimer, trigger warning, whatever the heck you guys want to put on that if people are sensitive to dead animals. But,
no, it's just a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I think it's a good point to point out, though. That's a prime example of people for some reason think that hunters like killing animals.
No,
we
don't.
No.
It's like, okay,
No.
the main reason
Let's
why.
not talk about this too long.
Let's not talk about but like, okay, it's our show. I'm gonna talk about what I want. So it's like,
Plus, they serve duck for Christmas all the time. That's the thing.
but it's like it controls the population. You can't let the population get too out of whack, and ducks don't have.
Or
too
else
many...
they'll starve to death and die.
Mhm.
Literally.
So
Ruin the environment.
it's way better to have hunters keep the population level than let things ebb and flow too much and have surpluses and then have all the surpluses starve to death. So it's good for that, but it's also yeah, you get the adrenaline in the moment of like things coming in and you shoot it, but like especially for me, like having to step on that duck, I felt awful. I felt terrible. I was like, this is like the worst.
But it's either that or the duck suffers more.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like, and I don't want that, so I had to squish it.
Yeah.
So I felt. Yeah, that was bad. I felt really bad about it. It's not.
You ever seen The Bite of 87?
One time, my buddy sent me a video of this from 3 years ago when we were hunting together. This was when I was young and dumber than I already am. So we had a duck and it wasn't dead all the way, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I don't have like, because usually you have like a finisher, which is like a little thing that you poke it in the back of the head and it's done. It's like one moment of pain and it's over. So it's like the most humane way to do it. I forgot mine and I didn't have it. And I was like, I don't know what to do. He's like, just grab it by the body.
Jacob, I did that.
No, I have a video of it. He's like, grab it
Of
by
me
the body.
doing it?
No, of me doing it. And
Oh.
then slam its head across like the.
Oh,
so I'm like,
no.
I'm like doing this over and over, and it just
Oh,
won't
my
die, and I'm
God.
crying. I'm like, please, and like my buddy sent me a video today of me, just my hands are covered in blood, and I was just like, what did you make me do? And just tears are streaming down my face. I felt terrible.
That's awful.
But
Yeah.
you live and
That-
you learn.
Mhm, you live
That
and
is
you
the
learn.
important part.
That is the point.
Yeah.
So please don't cancel
Respect
us
nature.
because please don't cancel us because we
You
follow tradition.
can't cancel the top G.
That is facts.
You can't cancel the top G.
I smoke my cigars and drive my Bugatti.
Okay.
Have you seen that man's yacht?
No, but I found out today that his Bugatti was $5.2 million.
Dude, I watched him go into a store and buy a Bugatti watch just because he was like, I'm going to spend $1 million on this shopping spree. And the dude was like, this watch is $1 million, but for you, 400,000. He's like, well, you bought it, buy it now. I'm like, and the watch looked dumb as hell. So, I can't-
Andor.
Can we please talk about Andor? I was kind of like,
we're like 10 minutes into this podcast and
we're
we didn't mention.
technically 7 because
Let's be real though. people watch the podcast for us.
Mm-hmm.
They don't watch it for just
The entertainment
Star Wars.
value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to those that had to hear me talk about slaughtering animals.
Also, Thanksgiving was yesterday. We are recording this the day before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Hopefully that you are.
So hopefully you had a good holiday.
Hopefully you watched some good football.
Hopefully you eat the turkey. You eat the turkey.
Eat the turkey.
It's Thanksgiving. Now we eat the turkey.
That is an
It's
old
Thanksgiving.
I remembered that. That's why
That is a TikTok on our TikTok page.
Who said that? You or
It was
me?
you. It was like it was no. This is what happened because I just watched it a couple days ago. You were like, I just said what we were thankful about with Star Wars, like blah blah, blah, and I was like, that's all, folks. And then you go, it's Thanksgiving. Now we eat the turkey. And then Jackson said, he was like, oh, turkey's dry, and I was like, mine's not. And you were like, ours is. And then the camera cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back when that was a thing that happened all the time. The
Yeah.
camera would cut out because we would run out of storage on
The camera
that.
It
go.
was either we would run out of storage or I was using SLR. Bro, history lesson. Apparently SLRs have a recording cap because you have to tax it if it's a video camera.
You said that in the beginning episodes.
Bro,
Well, we got new audiences that don't know this
if
absolute
you
knowledge.
watch our pilot episode of our podcast, only the first 12 minutes has video because after that it's just a screen cap of our banner on our YouTube channel.
Sorry guys, the video cut out. This is my first YouTube video.
Oh, Tom, I have this really great idea I've been meaning to bring up to you. So we have our soundboard that we never use anymore.
Oh
And
my
that
gosh.
Tommy forgot to put the outro on again.
Mhm.
But so I've derived this amazingly awesome idea. What if for every time
I don't like this.
because Jackson likes to talk about the military and his studies a lot. I want to put like the U.S. Army commercial music on it, and every time he starts talking, it just bum bum ba-da-da-da-da, bum bum.
That's different. That's revelry.
Yeah, I know. But
So let us know in the comments below if you want us to absolutely dog on Jackson.
Well,
yeah.
since I'm in control of the soundboard, sounds like something I would want to do. All I have to do is look up Army theme MP3, and there we go.
Mhm.
And we have it.
Or just find the YouTube video and then go to youtube to mp3.com and convert it. That's what I do.
Indeed. So, everybody, now that we have wasted your life away for 15 minutes, let's talk about the season finale of Andor.
Let's talk about the show that we thought was going to be absolutely mid while we waited for Bad Batch and Ahsoka to come out in Mando, but it ended up being one of the best Star Wars shows we've ever seen.
Andor is the dark horse of the Star Wars projects because it has the lowest views, but the highest
lowest views?
But it had the ratings
Yeah.
rival The Mandalorian for it.
Nobody's watching it, which baffles.
What?
That's why they put it on Hulu last week.
Well, I
and
thought they
everything
put it
else.
on that because it was doing so well.
No,
And
because they wanted
people-
it to do better numbers.
Yeah,
Oh.
I am like, I think people aren't watching it because it's not like
It's not the Jedi.
It's not a nostalgia character. It's not a Mandalorian. It's not bounty hunters. It's like this. It's this weird spin-off series about a character that was in a movie that already people didn't like for some damn reason. So, I'm blown away by this show.
Yes.
Absolutely taken. Like, they took me out of my chair and they threw me across the room. Like, that was an awesome show. Like,
The finale, goated.
now Jackson can actually rate the show. Jackson, want to give us your
Jackson,
rating?
what do you rate Andor
Off
out of
the
10?
rip?
Because I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Like 3. No, I'm joking. Tommy's face when I
Giving it
said
4 doubloons.
a 4 doubloons. No. I've never rated anything like ever before. Okay, and I'm not going to use
You've
decimals.
rated every show that we've ever
But I forget
watched
what I
on the
rated
pod-
everything. Okay, so if I consider Clone Wars a perfect 10, then I would put Andor at, because it has to be perfect to be a 10. Andor would be an 8 because I really, really, really liked it. But then it can't compete to Rebels, which would be like a 9.
Okay.
I don't know how to really explain all this. I've never made a list like that for
I'm gonna
shows.
give Andor a 9 out of 10.
It was really,
And
really
here's
good.
I think Andor is just as good as Rebels, and here's why.
Wow.
Here is why. Rebels did a lot of things with Star Wars that were new and fresh, and they changed up the idea. They changed some things.
Very fresh, very
nice,
very nice, very fresh.
They took new ideas to Star Wars and they expanded what Star Wars is,
Yes.
and in the constraint of a time period that we already knew, the Age of the Empire. Andor did something very similar where they expanded the Age of the Empire to something more interesting by expanding on the ISB, what goes on behind the scenes, and the birthplace of the rebellion, because it's not just like some farm boy, oh, I hopped in the ship and I saved the galaxy. No, it had to be nitty gritty to get to where it is. So it showed us that, and it also used a different style of filmmaking. It was more a linear story than episodic story, that you only really get that in a couple things with arcs. You don't necessarily get like half the season is an arc, half the season is an arc, but it's all one overarching like main plot. Because like saying Clone Wars, you can watch an episode or you can watch an arc and you can watch just that and it makes sense. You couldn't start Andor halfway through and know exactly what's going on.
I agree.
It's a complete story. So it's new filmmaking. It's dark, which is really nice, and it's dark in a different way than Kenobi was.
Yeah.
And it changes the format and it changes the way that filmmakers can approach Star Wars, which is what I want, because then people will then we won't get what happened with the sequel trilogy, which was like just a very cut and dry trying to mock of what has already come before. Now we're pushing further into what Star Wars can be.
What I appreciate the most about this episode, as well as the whole show, is what it did to the Empire, specifically the tyranny of the Empire.
Yes.
Because we've always known the Empire as the bad guys, and we've always, oh, haha, the stormtroopers shoot bad and blah, 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 and like stuff.
Now they're shooting pretty straight this episode.
Bro,
yes.
The stormtroopers shoot pretty straight in this episode, and there are so many things in this show that make the Empire dastardly. And in this episode, seeing those stormtroopers, my man busted out the cannon and was just eviscerating people. And I noticed a lot in this show that when they use their blasters, they would do a double tap instead of just like spraying their weapons. I thought that it made it a lot more militaristic. Little things like that I noticed because I'm a weirdo.
I feel like what you're saying, this is the first time we've seen the Empire actually act tyrannical, whereas in Rebels it's oh no, we're gonna inconvenience the people by stealing a couple of their supplies.
Stormtroopers.
Well, no, you get Tarkin Town. They burned Tarkin Town.
But Tarkin Town is different because you don't see Tarkin Town burn. You see it just gone.
But you get the implication that it happened. It's like an old one. It's like this is like the evolution of horror movies, actually, when it goes some really cheesy humor. And then like in the 90s, you had lots of the implied gore, say like American Psycho, where Paul Allen is killed off screen, but because there's blood spraying and you see blood on the floor, it's implied gore. You got the implied destruction of a town, and now we're seeing a just straight genocide of Ferrex.
Yes.
So it's rolling.
Straight up opens fire on the people.
Let me just say,
you called it about the brick.
Dude, the brick got
when
used.
they went to my boy B2, they shoved him over and they went boom.
Man, let me tell you, I've never been so excited to see Imperials get beat up as I did after they knocked over B2. That made me so angry. I had such a visceral reaction to it.
I know. I was like, you can't hurt it.
We all just kind of sat up and we're like,
Jacob and I literally went to the front of our seats and we're like, this the rest of the episode.
Because I was like, oh, is this the part where B2 Emo gets domed and put into K2SO? And I was like,
it's the equivalent to like a theater kid flipping the desk before everybody breaks out into a fight. Like it's like he just like got and like flipped him over because he couldn't get him to stop. Marva's speech was really good.
Yes.
I actually had emotions and I was moved by her speech.
Yes. The dialogue in the show is S tier.
I will say that. This is S tier dialogue.
Because people still say this, and I don't know why. People that are still like, Disney is ruining Star Wars, you just need to shut up at this point. Andor is such a visceral example as to what, when put in the right hands and with the right amount of money, Disney can do. And guess what? They learned from 7, 8, and 9. They're past it. They are putting out some of the best content that's not only just Star Wars, that's film-wise, period.
Yeah.
It is some of the best. They're getting creative with a saga that's been existing forever, and not in a way that Marvel is doing it, where they're kind of making it cringe. So it's like, Kudos to Disney. Thank you, Disney, even though you are a monopoly over the entertainment industry, which is not okay. But it's okay because you're doing really good things with Star Wars. So I shall turn my blind eye to this. When you own my ability to breathe.
See, even with the dialogue too, now when I think of Andor, when I think of dialogue, I think of Luthen, Marva, and oh my gosh, now I'm completely blanking.
Shaw.
Kino.
Kino.
All three of their speeches were such impactful portions of dialogue for the story. And it wasn't just like a hype speech that was like, go team, oh, we can do this. It had emotion and power to every single one of them that drove the story or projected what a character was feeling in that moment. Mm-hmm. Like Luthen's just like passion of just like, I sacrifice everything that I do. Marva just to stand up to the Empire and just finally kill it. And Kino to rally everybody to destroy the facility. Like,
it's, Marva's speech was so, I guess, impactful and so proficient because she really attacked what the people were feeling. She said what everybody felt but was too scared to say.
Yep.
And boom. It's just the show is so good.
And not to mention like the analogy of sleeping. I thought that was really good way to put it, you know.
And that the Empire's of Darkness, it's only there at night. It's like you're there when you're sleeping.
She knew. I had a feeling that Marva wanted this to be this way after she died. That's how she wanted to go. And I did want to point out. I really like how they sprinkled in some of Nemec's diary in this, like actually Nemec speaking it. And I like that in Star Wars the diaries are you can hear the person saying it as it's being read. I like that a lot.
Audiobooks.
No, I liked the whole sequence where it's Nemec and it's like a Game of Thrones moment. Every important character you've ever seen finally comes together one place for one big thing. And it's like, yes!
Endgame moment.
It was seriously cool. And there were so many little facets. Like I really didn't know when everything was gonna, explode. I didn't really know what was gonna happen when, because you had the one guy who doesn't like Cassian that snitches to the Empire that Cassian's there. So now that puts another twist on what's happening. Then the parade starts early. So now the Empire is scrambling to get their show of force out. And that is again a little plot twist that happens. And then the fact that Luthen is showing up and Vel can't find Cinta and Cinta's in the crowd following the ISB and he's undercover in the crowd. It's like every little thing that's happening all within minutes is like I don't know what's going to happen.
The tension was there. Like with the music, and then eventually like it even had like the implied like heart rate like increasing.
Yes.
I was like, I could feel it. It was just like there and it was just going to break at any second. And it was perfect.
What if I told you Cinta had that dog in her? When she stabs that guy and then runs him through further, I was like,
my man was the hall monitor.
This
you
show
can't be here.
I like how this show just isn't afraid to kill people.
Yep.
That's when Cassian muzzle stuffs a dude just to make his blaster silent.
Dude.
I think his blaster is probably next to the DL-44 is probably my favorite handgun. And like
Cassian's blaster's dope.
It's good.
So, I like the fact that it's like, because it's established in Battlefront that your gun overheats, it doesn't reload. I like that it has 2 power cylinders that rotate, so you never have to like wait for that cooldown.
The subtle detail for that's pretty cool.
So cool.
And then Cassian plays Call of Duty, the way he be dolphin diving on that Death Trooper.
Domed the Death Trooper.
That Death Trooper's reflexes were fast as heck, too. He barely even saw a hand and said,
they are cybernetically enhanced humans.
He got aimbot.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Dude.
I like, this is kind of going back to the very beginning of the episode. I liked when Mon Mothma was framing her husband for gambling again as a way because she knew that her driver was a spy, as a way of implanting the fact that that's where the money was going.
Okay, can we talk about Mon Mothma before we go back to all the cool stuff?
Talk about whatever you want, man.
Let's just do that.
There's so much I want to say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought I noticed that right when it was happening. I
didn't know. I thought he was doing it.
I was like, no. I was
a sucker.
I was like, so that's where the funds are going. Like that's where she's covering up. Because I didn't think that she was gonna go for the hand in marriage thing, but apparently her daughter is. I I guess, outer space hick, and she
her
likes
daughter
that.
wants the hand in marriage thing.
Which
I
is
think
weird.
that's what's tripping me out the most. I
And
think
it's
her,
Lux Bonteri!
I think it's her way to defy her parents, specifically
Mhm.
Mon. She knows that her mom doesn't like it, and I think that's why she's leaning into it so hard.
Okay, so here's something I was confused about. The dude that is giving his son to marry Mon Mothma, wasn't he in the ISB office selling her out?
No,
No.
that was her driver.
That was the driver.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I thought it was the guy from the bank.
No, because they were talking about the gambling addiction.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah.
Which will be okay, because I thought more was at stake right there. All right, thank you
Alright.
for clarifying.
I think
because
that's pretty
didn't
much all that
understand.
happened with Mon Mothma in this episode. I feel like she had a very integral part in this entire show, just to have almost nothing in the finale.
She's going to be around for season 2.
It was just
and,
setting up.
And
what would
season 2
happen.
is going to jump around timeline-wise. We're going to be jumping closer and closer to where Rogue One picks up. So I think that there will be parts where we see her after in Rebels where she has to get taken away. You know, I think that we'll start seeing her
That
as a
would be
part of
cool.
the organized rebellion.
Mhm.
Oh, that would be really cool if we had some mention of Phoenix Squadron. Or...
And this also explains away really well.
No.
What is that? Oh, it's a dog.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
dude,
wampa.
that scared me. It hasn't happened.
Oh
in-
no! it
Remember
hasn't
back in the
happened
day
so
on the
long.
podcast where we would just be talking
Yes.
and for minutes on end, you would
The
just hear the dog
scratching.
on the door.
It would be like,
Yeah. That's like something that happened actually like last Thanksgiving.
True.
dang.
Dang.
You
well,
just entered the Twilight Zone. Bro.
Do we have the gate up? It
no,
must.
I
not
don't
be
think
up.
the gate's
You know what?
up.
Dog reveal. Rocky, you want to be on the podcast? Get your ass over here.
He's like, no. So he's
Rocky
like, I wanted
doesn't wanna be
to.
on the
I wanted to
podcast.
disturb the podcast, but I didn't want to be on the
Close
podcast.
the door. Close the door so Blackjack doesn't come in.
Oh, he's
Close the door so
downstairs.
that Blackjack doesn't come.
He's downstairs.
Is he staying?
Hey guys, welcome Rocky to the pod. Rocky, what did you think of Andor?
I thought it was pretty good.
No, let him speak.
Jackson doing that Kringay dog voice.
The screen crushed dog voice.
You guys like his sweater? My mom throws my dog in goofy clothes against his will.
My man was writhing on the floor trying to scratch his back when I came here.
He's like, bro, I'm itchy. All right, dog time over. Goodbye, Rocky. Thank you for joining us. Have a chat with Rocky. Thank
Have
you
a
for
chat
joining
with
us.
Rocky.
Can we get some applause for Rocky real quick?
Round of applause.
Did
Round
you
of
ever? Did
applause.
you used to do round of applause?
Yeah.
Okay, I would too, and then nobody else would. They'd be like, give a round of applause. I'd be like, disclaimer, when I was in like elementary school, not when I was in like high school.
No, Jackson still does it to this day.
Get back in your chair.
What if I don't want him?
That was an order.
Ooh, I like watching you follow orders. Good soldiers follow orders. Speaking of that W Riz, let's talk about my man Cyril.
Hey,
Let's see
yo.
about the
Okay,
infinite
why
Riz
did
glitch,
him and
bro.
Linus switch hats? What was the
Because
significance
they're
of that?
besties, bro.
I thought it was like the one hat fit better with the other person's uniform, or he didn't like the hat and the sergeant was giving it to him.
Maybe.
The sergeant is like undyingly loyal to Cyril no matter what. It
Cyril-
sucked to see him at the end just sit there, and I was like, my homie!
Cyril like moved like a millimeter. He's like, sir! That part took me out for a second. I was like, huh?
Dude, I felt that in my chest cavity. The way I wasn't expecting that. Dang.
What, when I did it?
Yeah.
Welcome
But yeah, it was like, my man Cyril was like, my sweet Babu.
He
I
was
need
like,
to go see
It's
her.
her, and
now."
I was like, no.
I thought Cyril was dead. I thought she was going to kill him. I thought he was going to try to get in the way and interfere, and he was going to die.
I thought Dedra was straight up going to die. Like
I thought
when
they were
she was
gonna
getting
rip her
dragged.
apart.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping it would happen too in a sadistic way because I was like, this would be something we didn't see coming.
I knew she wouldn't die because she is being set up to be the overarching villain.
Oh yeah, I
of
agree.
the show. And I would one more point about Mon
Okay,
that I just
yeah,
remembered
yeah,
before
yeah.
Rocky made his cameo. I did want to point out this also does a really good job of explaining where Mon's family goes. Because if you look at these new characters, it would be a plot hole to wonder where the husband and the daughter are during the time of the original trilogy. And now we know that the husband is probably going to get taken to jail for gambling. And now the daughter is going to get betrothed and she'll be back on Chandrilla doing her own thing.
That's
so I
actually a
think
good
that
point.
that's a really good way to fix that little plot hole. You're giving Mon more character development by showing her struggles with her family, while at the same time you're showing how low she's willing to go and how diehard she is for the rebellion.
Good point. Good point.
Anyways, Cyril's W Riz. I just, dude.
What do you think that's gonna lead? Do you think that they're just gonna be best friends now? Do you think
he's gonna go in the ISB at this point?
I'm
convinced.
I think that they're gonna. I think if he's not in the ISB, he'll be in a relationship with Dedra, and he'll be like spying on her, like figuring out things from her, so that he can keep finding Cassian. Because that's all he really cares
for
about.
her, not spying on her.
No, like spying on her work, like getting her
into shock.
He's gonna get her password so that he can look through her stuff. I mean, that's what he did to his mom.
That's true.
You know, I think he wants to keep looking for Cassian. But my man is also smitten.
But they could do it together.
Yeah.
That was so whack. Yeah, you did show that off.
Jacob Selfie Series.
And
there's a Jackson Selfie
review
series.
coming soon.
Jackson Selfie Series coming soon.
Jackson Selfie Series and Jacob Selfie Series. Tommy, where's yours?
I didn't get one.
That's okay, dude.
The
My
price
dad got
went
mine
back
for
down.
me.
Did it really?
Yeah.
$60 again?
Yeah, it's back down to 60.
For Black Friday?
No, in general. It went up to 80, and I guess everybody stopped buying them. And they said, okay. What about
That's actually kind of funny.
For $60, Jacob's quick review. It's worth it. Buy one.
Woo!
Okay.
Bro. Yeah, I'm really glad this Cyril got his little moment.
His little boo thing.
with his woman.
Little boo thing.
I think that
Little
Linus
boo thing.
might get a spot back in the Empire now. Linus might
That's
get a
what I'm-
spot with the Empire.
Linus?
Yeah.
The sergeant guy? Yeah, I agree, because if Cyril gets in the Empire, he's going to bring him with him, because he's undoubtedly
Thank you, sir.
loyal.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you getting me this job as the janitor on the Death Star.
That's like a Smiling Friends character.
Speaking of which,
much for getting me this job on the Death Star, sir. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
speaking of the Death Star,
Can we mention that ending credit
That
scene?
end credit scene.
Bro.
They just, the people that work on Rogue One and the people that work on this show just know how to tickle that itch in my brain that says pretty picture. That pulled apart blaster on the Death Star, the big
Super laser.
the Giga Cannon. Whoa. It also shows exactly where those pieces were going to, and I just want to say for the record, the 1313 podcast called it. We were right. We knew that it was part of the Death Star. That's why they weren't able to leave.
the Death Star plans are not in the
main
computer.
Because if somebody left, they could leak what the part is, and somebody could figure out what the part is for.
Or they could figure out where it's coming from, and they can see where it's going.
Yep.
The spider droids are really cool.
That was
Those spider
interesting,
droids.
too.
It was also cool to see that the fact that they were using their own. It's a new droid, and it's
Yeah.
not.
It reminded me of a Buzz droid.
It's not people working on it though. That's
Just for that section.
It's another thing of being like security.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause if you have individuals that could escape.
Mm-hmm. If you read Thrawn Treason, it goes into really great detail about how tight knit the Death Star construction plans are.
Yeah.
Because at the end of Alliances, Thrawn drops the Death Star name, and the Emperor's like, "How do you know that? Who told you that? I like you.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?" So
That was
Go
just
read those
epic
books.
to see it at the end, because that was the last thing I was expecting from the show. But it makes sense.
because Tommy came in, we literally just watched it before recording this.
Yes.
So Tommy walked in and he goes, "Oh, there's an end credit scene." And when he said that, I was like, Luthen's gonna whip out his lightsaber and be like, I am the Jedi, Bernie.
Let's destroy every single one of those videos. He is not a Jedi or a Sith.
Dude.
Stop saying that. There's no evidence. There's no mention of the
He's
Force.
gonna be Star Wars first Gray Jedi.
He will not! It literally makes no sense. Where are you people making these videos?
Well, the only evidence to back it up is in, I believe, a Legends book. Count Dooku has an apprentice that's name is either Luthen or his last name is Rael. So that people
the name is the same?
Well,
Count Dooku had.
Are you the same Jacob as the one in the Bible? Is he the same Tommy as the dude in California?
Bro,
Are you the Hilfiger?
I know what Jacob's talking about. So I actually read this book. It's called Master and Apprentice. And
I read that one
Dooku
too.
does have another apprentice when he was in the Jedi Order named Rael Averross. And I do not think these are the same characters, because in the book, Rael Averross is in like his 40s or 50s already, and that takes place before episode 1.
But my main thing is the fact that it's not the first time that we've seen characters that are like name dropped in books or something else come up later in Star Wars as like a different character. So like the kid that is I forget the name. The kid that Haja sends to the spaceport is like a Star Wars, is a Jedi.
Oh yes, what's his name? Oh, he's in Alphabet Squadron.
Yeah,
or Rogue Squadron. He's in Rogue Squadron.
I don't know that.
What's his name?
That's kind of cool, actually.
So, but no, so that's why I was thinking. I was like, this isn't the first time that a character has shown up in books as legends.
But what's the relevance of Luthen?
Well, it's the same name.
What was the dude's name in the book?
Rail Avaros.
But how is that the same?
Luthen Rail.
But it's okay.
It was a bit of a stretch, but it was the one connecting line that I could see. I was like, okay, we've had characters in books have their origin story changed in Star Wars canon to be in the cinematic version.
I think the whole Luthen thing, being a Jedi or a Sith, I think it would honestly kill some of my excitement for this show because this shows that Star Wars can be cool without the Force being acknowledged at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really liked that about this show.
And
it's just about, don't even know it's real. It's just about regular people rising up. It doesn't need to be this giant messiah figure that has these special powers that can make things happen magically for the people. It's people uplifting other people. And that's what I've loved about it.
Yeah, this show, it really made me want to overthrow my government.
Actually, facts. Not true. No. The 1313 podcast does not condone domestic violence.
Or domestic terrorism.
Nope.
Oh, domestic violence is a completely different thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you mean by that? No.
I'm tired. I'm really tired. Yeah, so, anyways.
W. Riggs.
Yeah, I really, that and the fact that with Luthen, I really just want him just to be a regular dude.
Yep, I agree.
I think it would be cool if his driving force was because he was somewhat attached to the Jedi Order. But I don't think it would kill it for me if they just mentioned it. I feel like it would kill it for me if he came out and started swinging his lightsaber.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yep. If it's a mention, I'm cool with that.
If he did the thing that we see Cal Kestis's, that I forget, Bug Eyes and Jedi Fallen Order, and
Seer, yeah.
Because she cut herself off from the Force. If Luthen was the same type of thing where he was a Jedi, but he cuts himself off to the Force to remain under the radar, that would be something I think would kind of be cool. But it would kind of be the same thing that we see in Fallen Order, and it would be kind of like a copycat.
Just a rehash.
Mm-hmm. And Andor's been very new, very fresh, so I think they're going to stray away from any ideas like that.
I liked at the end of the episode where Cassian... The first time I watched it, I thought he meant kill me or turn me into the Empire, but I found out the second time, when I watched it with you guys, he meant kill me or take me in with your cause.
Yes.
It's either I'm in or I die.
Exactly.
That's my only choice I have.
That was the choice he gave him too. I just connected the dots right now in my brain.
How did y'all not realize that?
Well, Luthen was like, you can join me or you can die.
Mm-hmm. So, I was going to say something else. Harking back to, remember last episode when he was holding up the thing that everybody thinks is a lightsaber?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that object comes up in season 2 and actually might be a lightsaber, because shows they don't harken on an object for an amount of time like that. It wasn't even a funny bit. It was just kind of a thing. So every time, say, the kid's manifesto, that's brought up, it's shown, it's established, and then it's in a separate shot shown again and reestablished. So it's objects in cinema are then pronounced and then they have a purpose. I don't think that's going to go away without a purpose.
This episode set up a lot of stuff for season 2.
Yes.
And I'm very happy with it.
Speaking of dwelling on shots, how about that shot that dwelled on the one guy that worked, that just his
Yeah, I was going to mention. He's just dead.
The camera really sits there for a minute to let you soak that in.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, oh yeah, the guy who was trying to help, he's dead.
It's but it was odd because everybody else that's important that dies never got a moment, but he does.
I think it was just to show the destruction of the Empire. I think it was really just, that was all it was to show that they were killing everyone, and just to get that in your head, these people are dead. It's not like you're having your last stand fighting and you get shot and you get up and you get shot and you get up. It's just, you're shot, you're dead, and that's
you're shot,
story's
you're done.
over.
You don't get back up later because you're like, oh, it didn't hit a vital.
I think I think that shot was one of those purposes where it's it's soaking in the destruction, not necessarily the person's death. It's the situation at hand.
Yes.
Because it's a pacing thing. When action happens, like say, and I forget what it is. It's like one of the Jason Bourne movies. It's like it has like the shaky camera and it's implied action and everything's happening. You can't really tell what's going on, but you know something's happening. This had like a little bit of that feel where it was like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and then they just had hold here. This is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Gives you a moment to breathe. And the choreography for that fight was really good. Like you had, there's one shot in particular that I'm thinking of. I don't remember. I think it was some guy was on the on a stormtrooper's back.
Yeah.
And he gets blasted, and then the guy that's like in the Min Band outfit throws another guy on the screen. So it kind of goes like whoop whoop. I was like, very cool oneer, very cool oneer.
I just want to talk about Marva's brick again. I gotta say, when I mentioned that last week on the show, I was half joking. I didn't actually think that her brick was gonna bonk a stormtrooper on the head or something,
and then it did.
It actually happened.
I thought the brick was gonna be a bomb because the kid was making the bomb, and I was like,
"Oh my gosh!" When he was making the bomb,
I was like,
"God,
space terrorism in the works, space IED."
My man, yeah, he made a bomb. His dad worked at the shop, and we can only assume he was killed.
Well, no, we saw him killed like a couple episodes ago.
He got because Dr. Gorse.
They hung him.
They hung him. You're right. They hung him
because they were like, I want him hung immediately.
Yeah.
So because he had the thing, because I remember that he was the son of the person and he wanted revenge. And
now
that's why he was so
here's
mad.
something.
Okay.
I think that and I want to know what you guys think.
Okay.
I think that if Dedra had been in charge the entire time and there had been no authority dished out to anybody else, that things would not have gotten so out of hand.
I agree.
And that if she wasn't so focused on getting Cassian back alive, that everybody would have died.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I think it wouldn't have gotten so bad if she would have been there.
They should have just bombed the whole town.
Because, the other officers were just lunatics to begin with.
That young dude, that commandant.
Yeah, the guy who throws the cape over and kicks B2 Emo over is a coward, and he knows it, and that's why he issues the open fire, because he's so traumatized that how could they hit me?
You can see his insecurity. You can see his fear.
So he wants to lash out in anger.
What I think is cool is for most of these officers, this was their first time seeing action because of how little the Empire has to deal with with insurrections.
They've had no conflict. No. Now they do.
I think probably though, something that was more impactful than seeing all like the violence and all like the people actually getting shot is that the moment where you see Luthen standing over the town and you hear the screams and you hear the blasters.
And it isn't stopping. It's just continuous. So now what happens to Pharynx? Is Pharynx a war zone? Pharynx, sorry.
I've seen a lot of podcasts. A lot of podcasts keep calling it Phoenix.
Phoenix?
FedEx?
Okay, I mess up words, but okay, hilarious scene when the guy was like nonstop bonking the anvil, and they're like, "Kill that guy!" And I was like, "No!" And then he got up and he kicked him off. I was like, "Yeah!"
That is exactly what Jackson did, because I was in the room at that point, and I was at Stormtrooper. And Jackson goes, "Yeah!"
I didn't want him to die. Can we make a Black Series figure of the bell tower guy, please?
That'd be cool.
I would make it a fan channel exclusive to Dorkside, but
can we get his hammers? Because they look exactly like the armorer's hammers.
Maybe you remember the guy on TikTok who does like the $13 props? Do you know who I'm talking about, Tom?
No.
There's a guy on TikTok who does like random like screen props for like $13, I think it is. It's $8 or $13 or under. But he's really like intricate about his research. Like he found like the shoes that Ahsoka wears in The Mandalorian, the boots that oh my gosh, the Marshal, what's his name again?
Cobb
Vanth wears in The Mandalorian. And like the water bottle that Boba Fett uses in the Book of Boba is just an army surplus bottle from a different country from World War II. Like he connects all these dots to like all these props so that if you want to like incorporate Star Wars into like a minimalist cosplay or have items from Star Wars, here you go, you can buy these. These are attainable objects.
Oh,
so
cool.
That was like a really cool thing. So what if those hammers are just modified versions of something that's already existing is what I'm pointing out. But I can't remember the guy on TikTok, but if you say Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars in front of your phone enough, the Chinese government will listen to you and put Star Wars videos on your phone.
The People's Republic of China.
The People's Liberation Army technology division will listen to you.
Did I mention about the two types of TikTok that there are in the United States and the one that's in China?
Yeah.
Yes, because they don't want their people consuming Western media because they don't like it. Did you know? Okay, actually, here's a random fact. Did you know that if a Chinese citizen leaves China to another country and comes back, they are legally obligated by law of their government to report on things that they saw in that country and be a spy? It is their national duty to help the People's Republic of China understand the world better.
冰淇淋.
冰淇淋.
我希望中国人.
Yeah, facts. Totally, for sure.
Subtitle that, please.
On my mother. Word to my mother. Word to my mother. Word to my mother. But I think, honestly...
That's all I can think.
I'm racking my brain because I know there were so many things that happened, and I only got to watch it once, and I feel...
you said you watched it twice.
Twice with you guys.
Oh, okay.
So like 1.5 times. But like, there were so many things that happened that I wanted to touch on.
We talked about our excitement the most, which is, I think, what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, coming off of watching it and shooting it was the move.
And I'm really, really satisfied with Andor when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really, the way that getting to watch the people fight and the people rise up and how coordinated everything was, getting to watch every character at the end of this show, you know, knowing that there's a season 2, knowing where this show is going to go next. It leaves me with a lot of questions and a lot of excitement. And Andor has done nothing every single week but make me want more. And I'm really, really excited to see season 2.
There was only like one moment in the entire show where I was kind of like, eh. But I mean, if you're rolling with 12 episodes and you only one episode out of it is, I consider a dud. You're fine.
I would say Disney is doing a good job of every single week for any of these shows they're coming out with. We are like ecstatic. We are waiting the second the credits hit. We're like, what is next? I feel like that's what gets me the most. Andor was so powerful. I would argue it has only gotten more powerful. See, The Mandalorian was great. And then Book of Boba, I feel like for us and Bad Batch as well was like, whoa. And then Andor had me at a peak. And I feel like it's only going up more and more and more of like, I just need it now.
Mm-hmm. But now, so... I think you got a week, Tommy, to rack your brain as to what else you wanted to talk about with Andor, because we ain't got nothing to talk about next week. So
we could do that one topic idea.
Yeah, we could do that.
The one that you called me about the other day.
The Clone Wars one.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I was.
What did I?
He was thinking about the male one.
Yeah, the
male
thing
one
that's coming in the mail.
Oh, that's not. I don't know when that's showing up.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it whenever that comes.
But,
so.
There was one thing I wanted to talk about. Normally we don't talk about this on the weekly show anymore, but it was like a product related thing.
Oh.
I wanted to because I wanted to pick your guys' brain. I haven't been able to talk to you guys about it yet. You guys saw the images for that new Hot Toys Clone Trooper? From
yes. Okay.
The Obi-Wan Kenobi
I have very
show.
strong opinions about this.
And which, by the way, did you see there were shots also for a new Anakin?
Yeah,
from Obi-Wan
there's a new
Kenobi.
Anakin like in the reveal shot.
And he's got his Sith eyes. And
you
he's got his
already
hood.
have one. You have 2.
And I didn't want to tell you this low key because I knew you were gonna get one, but it's not out yet.
But I saw the pictures. I just thought it was this because they had a dark side Anakin that came out from before.
Okay. No, bro, that's new. That's coming out.
Tommy,
soon.
do you want to say your opinion on this new 501st Trooper before I state my case?
So Hot Toys released. There's a picture on the screen right now.
Yes.
Then I'm also gonna post some side by side pictures too of a new Hot Toys, that's new. A new
figure.
They're re-releasing it then.
They're probably just using the same ones from old products.
No, they never do that.
Yeah, they do.
The only time they do promo shots nowadays are either things that are gonna come out or things that like you can still buy.
In the ATRT promo shots, they had one of the Ahsoka and the Anakin that I have over there.
Yeah, you can still get the Anakin, and the Ahsoka Trooper's gonna be coming back after it gets waitlisted. But anyways, I digress.
State your case.
The trooper, the armor looks different, and it is accurate to the Obi-Wan Kenobi show with the live action clones. For me, there are 2 things that bother me with this release. Okay. One is the color, the shade of blue they chose. The shade of blue is accurate to the show, and they chose a shade of blue that's more akin to the Clone Wars rather than the movies. But I feel like that bothers me because as someone who gets 501st Hot Toys, I can't display this with the rest of my 501st without it looking out of place, because all the other 501st have a distinctly darker shade of blue. This one's going to look really, really different. I also just think that the weathering, like from certain angles, looks cheap. And I get it. It is accurate to the movie or the TV show. But for me, it just looks off. How do you feel about it?
I like it. I'm going to be completely honest. It's accurate to Kenobi, and that's what Sideshow does. They are making the product based up. Sorry. Hot Toys is making the product based upon the media that we are seeing. And if people honestly want to complain about the details of it, I'm going to be honest. It's how it looks in the thing, and they did their job. I really like how the Clone Trooper looks. I like the realistic look rather than the 501st Trooper that you have that's more like accurate to the Clone Wars. Although you were saying certain pieces of the armor were kind of like a mismatch of both, I think, before when you had it on the show to talk about it.
So, but being, this isn't accurate to the Clone Wars. This is the old one. This is accurate to Revenge of the Sith. This is based off a CGI model of suit of armor with no intention of having a body inside. Yes. Proportions for it are wrong. So you can see like examples that are really easy. It's probably going to be up on the screen.
Yeah, there's stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Across the chest on the old one is a lot tighter up towards the armpits than it is on the new one. The new one looks
that's the old one, Jacob.
No, it's not.
This is the old one, Jackson. This is the new one. You're dumb. Your entire argument was backwards.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. So
the one in the lighter blue is more akin to the Clone Wars.
I'm changing my opinion.
So, so no.
The other one wasn't.
No, the other one is the old one.
So the shoulder on the new one, the shoulder pads are flatter because you couldn't have the curved one like you would. The whole thing is designing a suit of armor that just looks cool now rather than taking that and trying to make it put a practical body in it. And I must say, the reason why both of you are leaning towards I think the old one looks better is you've grown up with it for 20 years. You've looked at that suit of armor and how that suit of armor, especially you growing up with somebody that's in the 501st, you've seen exactly how that armor looks for 20 years. Whereas this is new and it's slightly different. You're getting kind of a what is it? Not necessarily
nostalgia bias.
It's an uncanny valley when it comes to it because it's almost there, but it's not exactly there. It's just slightly different. Like, yeah, you can see the taper at the bottom of the rib cage, the stomach plating. Ab plate is really completely different. The crotch piece is completely different, where this one's like a full diaper that goes all the way around. This one just kind of hides the balls.
I kind of like that one better, to be honest.
The one that just hides the balls.
It looks cool.
Mm-hmm. So, at the end of the day, I like the old one better. Not only because I like that dark shade of blue, I like how weathered that figure is. The new one that just looks a little bit too pristine, and it looks like he's got a little bit too much of a tummy for me. But
I hate that word.
It's it makes sense. There's seams on the arms.
Yes,
where you can see
where
they put the arm plates on.
Yeah.
So that'll make making your 501st armor pretty dang easy now.
Interesting.
I think it's interesting too because as someone who's helped people suit up into 501st approved clone armor, you can get the gauntlets and the biceps on without clipping them on. These seams now make it so that you can like how Boba Fett's armor goes on and wraps
it definitely is going to have to do that for clones. What if we see clones eventually?
Well, that's what I mean though. The clone armor that the 501st makes is proportionate to the CG renders, and you can just slip it on. Mm-hmm. And you have to squeeze your hand through, but you can slip it on. Mm-hmm. There are certain angles where it looks really, really good, and then there are other in the promo shots. Yeah. And then there are other, I think the more close up it gets, I go, ooh, that looks a little off. But then when it's a little bit farther away, then I'm like, okay, this looks fine. I'm eventually going to get one down the road. Because I do want to do a comparison of the 501st clone that I have versus this new one. I want to get an in-hand comparison.
What do you think about the difference between the helmets?
I actually prefer the old one. I really, one thing I didn't like in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You can see there's a larger gap between the kind of mandibles on the old one than on the new one. There's a smaller gap between those two. and the mouthpiece is smaller on the old one. This one is a little bit flatter and it goes out further. The brow on this one, on the old one, is a little bit more straight
I like
across.
The new helmet.
Where this one's like a little bit kind of just, it has like a
The new helmet looks fine.
I think what gets me about the armor in general, and I didn't like this in the show either, was that it was like shiny armor. I always have seen clone troopers as having more of a matte finish to their armor. And I get that it actually makes more sense for it to be shiny armor because it matches the stormtrooper armor and it's more congruent with what exists in Star Wars. But because we've only ever seen clone trooper armor have that matte finish, I think it really put me off to it.
See, I really like the shiny finish just because I didn't know in 501st it's supposed to be a matte, and I get it because the Clone Wars is matte. It's not meant to be like really bright and shiny, but I like the look of the shiny armor because I think it looks clean and it looks pristine, and then when it has all the color it pops. But it's also look cool. It also looks cool when it's shiny and then it gets dirty, you know.
And I also honestly I don't mind if they're retconning the shade of blue of the live action clone troopers for the 501st.
It's just
because I do prefer the shade of blue that you see in the Clone Wars over the shade of blue that's in Revenge of the Sith. So I'm okay with that change. And again, at the end of the day, I'm just happy to see clone troopers in live action. Like the fact that people can actually be in the suits now and how much they can do with that going forward. It's going to save them so much money in the budget, just making costumes for stunt people, as opposed to putting all the money into CG renders, you know? And one other thing that got me too was like the CG renders. They used, for the same sequence that we see in Obi-Wan Kenobi and in Book of Boba Fett, they were CG clones in the Book of Boba Fett, and they had the darker blue, and then they show the same sequence in Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now they have this different shade of blue and all this different stuff. And that, to me, I think is what also kind of throws it off in my head, is that I just saw this sequence like a year ago, and then when Obi-Wan Kenobi came out this year, I felt like it was like, like Jacob said, it's an uncanny valley. It's the same, almost, but it's not the same.
I think, we see it's a lighter color in Kenobi, but then again, you also have to think, they're color grading the footage. They probably made the costumes a lighter color, so it worked with how they were color grading the scene.
And a lightsaber.
And the fact that they're probably, for those scenes, they're working on a blue screen. The blue of the helmets cannot match the blue of the floor, because then it's going to be absolutely impossible to green screen key. You'd have to rotoscope it every single shot one by one. That means you have to go in every frame and cut it out perfectly. So not only would that be an editing nightmare, I also just think logistically it wouldn't have worked. So that's probably why it is a little bit different. And you don't see it close up in it. And when you watch it in Kenobi, the color, for like a split second, like when it's really close up, you might be like the color looks a little bit lighter, but all in all, it looks normal. Yeah. And I don't think they're going to change the color, especially having things like that Hot Toy Captain Rex, people growing up with thinking that's what the color is. If they change that, say Rex shows up in the Ahsoka show, and his armor's that light blue, people are going to blow a gasket. So
I think at the end of the day, like I said, I am planning on getting one down the road, especially because I was just complaining to Hunter Schultz. Shout out Hunter Schultz. I was just complaining to him the other day that the Hot Toys 501st Heavy Trooper comes with a bark speeder that has a sidecar, but there's no one to man the sidecar. Yeah. And I was complaining about that to him, and now there is a second opportunity for me to get another 501st Grunt that I can just throw in the sidecar of that speeder now. So for me, at the end of the day, like, again, these are very menial things that I'm, pointing out and like just giving my opinion on. I don't hate it. I've seen people on the internet, like, you got like people that specifically that do Black Series custom pages on Instagram, just ripping this thing apart. And it's like, that's easy for you to say because this is a mass-produced product. You're doing something that costs $150 for you to do one and done. Yep. When you do custom projects, it's one and done projects that you're charging $150 for at a 1/12 scale. This is at a 1/6 scale, and it's being mass-produced.
Also, you have to remember, these are used from the Lucasfilm archives. Every color, every design, every angle is perfect to what it is actually. So people complaining about it, saying that it's wrong.
It is correct.
It is correct.
This is Hot Toys.
It is
we're
correct to
about.
what it is in the show.
This is Hot Toys.
So speaking on Hot Toys, and I'm staring at my selfie series here. Do you think that at some point Hot Toys is going to do a selfie series?
Absolutely not.
I don't think they would.
I don't think it would make sense at all for them to do that.
I think they would, and here's why. Because I think that there's been a relatively good success with the selfie series. People really like it. And it would be really easy for Hot Toys to do it, especially for those with Apple phones. If you don't know, Apple phones have a HDRI scanner in it. That is a 3D mesh scanner. So when it does your face, it doesn't scan a picture of your face. It scans the topography of your face using infrared. So it actually maps out what your face looks like. So with an iPhone, you could literally scan the 3D mesh of your face and then send them reference images how to paint it. And then they could throw a $200 price point on just the head that you can throw on any of your pre-compatible figures.
I think it would be cool. I just think that they would, to save the money on sculpts, they would have to just pick a certain amount of head shapes to do.
Yeah.
You know, they would just have
agree.
to pick so many head shapes, which there are only 5 or 6 head shapes among humans in general.
Lenscrafter says 3 though.
But here's the thing though.
Lenscrafter says 3.
Here's the thing though. With an HDRI scan, you can take that and convert it into a 3D print, because this is a 3D printed resin mold for the head. This isn't like a mold.
Yeah.
So this is a 3D printed like resin thing. You could just take that 3D scan of a face and 3D resin print it, and then just paint it as such with the reference images. Half of the Hot Toys faces are already, like, when they're done initially, they're hand painted. You could just do the same thing for like lots of these, and you can have like select windows where these are open, and you can do it. People are already doing this.
Yeah.
I just think it would be a really good way for Hot Toys to make money, and it's a very, very plausible thing for them to do. You would just have to have an iPhone to do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
It was
I think that was a good episode.
fun little trail we went down.
So we gone?
But yeah, that was it. That's the close of Andor. Podcast episodes may or may not happen these next couple weeks because we're going to be dealing with finals and final projects, and we're all college students. So
we should talk about that when we shoot next episode.
I think there will be one next week, but I'm not sure about the week after. You guys will know if you follow us on social media.
Yep. And also make sure that you join our Discord. Link is in the description below. We keep actively updating our community as to everything that's going on here at the 1313 Plex all the time. You guys are going to figure out what's going on before anybody else. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve and know whether or not we're going to be posting on a certain day or not, please join the Discord below. All of our social media is linked in the description. That is Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You're probably not going to find out on TikTok. But with that, thank you guys so much for watching this pretty epic episode of the 1313 podcast, the conclusion to Andor Season 1. Please leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought about this first season of this awesome show. Did you love it? Did you hate it? And what did you love and or hate about it? Please let us know in the comments below. We'd really appreciate it. And if you want to support the podcast in above and beyond ways, make sure that you follow us on Patreon. We have 3 tiers, 3 ways to support us. And in our Gungan Boss tier, you're going to be entered in to win that Jon Favreau Black Series figure at the beginning of December. That stream is going to be December 1st. I think that's about it.
Yep.
That's all we got, y'all.
We'll see you guys.
Stay classy.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. Bye!
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Hum da da hum da da hum dum dum da. Hum da da hum da da dum dum da dum da ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba dum ba ba dum ba dum ba do ba dum ba do ba dum dum. Hum da dum hum da da hum dum 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 dum. Hum dum da dum hum da da hum dum da da. Hey, I'm da da dum da da dum. Hum da dum da da dum da da dum da. Da 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 ba da dum dum da ba ba da ba da.